realised that I didn't set up any fancy audio. It's just going to be my phone, but hopefully that's okay. Hi, welcome to a chill Q&A time. I think I've got everything set up that I need. I've got chat, I've got my notes, I've got tea. If you haven't already, please let us know what you're drinking. I am having, so this is my last winter warmer tea bag, which I've had for ages because it's no longer winter. But life hack, I discovered this last time I taught Constellation Clarity, making clove tea for like meetings or like live streams or things where I have to talk a lot, because clove is like gently numbing, so it's really good for if you've got a sore throat or if you're doing a lot of talking. So I am very proud of myself that I've been organised enough to have my clove tea ready to go. Let me just check my settings here. I want to hide the chat in there so that I can look at it here. Yes, okay. Oh guys, it's nice to be back. It feels like it's been such a long time. And not for lack of trying, I've been so busy, just not with videos at the moment. So we're gonna do questions. I'm gonna give you a couple updates on some life things because there have been some major changes. Or I guess one major change. So please, if you have questions, stick them in the chat now. While we are getting set up with that, cool, I see I already have some questions, amazing. I would like to just remind you, if you already know, or if you don't know, then I guess like share with you, that I recently designed some Notion divination journals, which was a really fun new kind of project for me. I've been using Notion for years now for myself, and I kind of love designing with it. Like I can get very sucked into it very easily. But I finally kind of made something that I was like, you know what, this is worth sharing with other people. So I designed, there's a tarot journal, a digital tarot journal that I've designed in Notion, and there's a Lenormand one as well. So I'm very excited about that. They're up on my website now to buy in the shop. So I might tell you a little bit more about that a bit later as well. Also, if there's anyone that's got any questions about that, about like how I designed it or why, or like how it works or anything, then please do ask those. But in the meantime, I think Rachel had dibs on the first question, so I think I'm going to start with that. Cool. Oh, it's lovely to see some familiar names. Audrey's here, Tony's here, Sari's here, amazing. I don't know if dibs on chat questions are a thing, but you had the first question, so I'm gonna give you it. Yes. Okay, so, right, let me go back and find it. Right, Rachel. Rachel asked, how do you decide which projects to pursue? My brain is a mess of random ideas and I'd love to know how somebody else sorts through their own. Girl, babe, my babe, oh my God. The question to end all questions, truly, the question that has been the bane of my existence for most of my life up until very recently. Yes, so my short, well, no, I've got a short and a long and a short answer. First of all, right, I'll give you my short answer, okay? And then I'll tell you about the long answer. My short answer is, the biggest thing that made the difference for me is setting a limit. Two things: setting a limit on how many projects I allow myself to have active at any one given time. For me, that limit is set by my domains. I have 6 domains of life. If you have heard me talk about the constellation system, you'll know about this. They have fancy Latin names, but basically they are like physical, social, environmental, financial, creative, and spiritual. 6 domains. I allow myself to have one active project per domain, and that's it at any one given time. Do I have way more ideas for projects I'd like to do than that all the time? Yes, yes I do. And I do keep a list of what I call potential projects, so ideas for projects that I'd maybe like to do at some point. It's very important to me that I don't see that as a to-do list. I see that as just a place to note down ideas for projects. Just because I've written them there doesn't mean I'm actually going to do them. The only thing that is my active current concern that I definitely am going to do, unless I change my mind, is my 6 projects, one for each domain. So that made the hugest difference for me, because it forced me to decide, okay, well, if I only get one project per domain, then what one do I want to start with? What's the most important one? Which is a question that my brain was really not used to answering and resisted really hard. Like I very much felt like, no, everything's important. I can't possibly let anything go or put anything on the back burner or make it wait till later. I have to do everything at once. And of course, when you try to do everything at once, nothing happens. So that's one of the main shifts that helped me is one per domain, and then if I only have one space for a project per domain, then what one do I want to start with right now? What makes the most sense to do right now versus wait for later or put on the potential projects list? And then the second part is like really clarifying what a project is, like knowing what the parameters of a project are and how to distinguish it from like what is like a one-off task and what is like a recurring ritual. And this is the part where I say the long answer to this is in constellation clarity. And I swear I didn't set this up as a plug. It just genuinely is. Like, this is one of the main things that I feel like I finally cracked, like how to prioritize and actually work on a finite amount of projects at any given time. And so my long answer to that, the full like system that I use for that those like specific definitions of like what is a project versus a task versus a ritual or anything else, all of that is in constellation clarity. So yeah, but I hope that answer like helps a little and makes sense for now. Cool. Okay. Oh great, Rachel says makes sense. Excellent. Cool. Okay, let me catch up on questions and also remove this from my tea so I can actually drink it. Ooh, Anna's having a milkshake. That sounds great. I don't know if we've ever had someone drinking a milkshake that I remember in the chat in a live stream. So you might be a first in that, Anna. Okay. Cool. Right, let's come back here. Tony says, it's that time of day I switched from coffee to water with cherry limeade fitness powder mixed in. Cherry limeade, is that any good? Because I don't know if it sounds good. Also, like, the weird potions you can make with fitness stuff are fucking wild. Pete did something disgusting the other day, which is that he mixed a pre-workout and a protein shake in the same solution. It was disgusting. Because, like, the pre-workout is basically like a fizzy energy drink, and then a protein shake. Oh, God. Horrendous. Truly horrendous. Full goblin mode. Cool. Okay. Right, questions. Rachel had a second question, but I'm going to answer one from someone else and then come back to that. Sabra Rose said, I was wondering if you're going to be doing witchcraft content. Yes. I mean, yeah, I always have plans. All I can tell you is my plans, because I'm constantly trying to just focus on my current project instead of getting drawn off on a million other tangents, which is kind of what we've just been speaking about. But yeah, I have lots of ideas for witchy stuff. It's just a case of when I actually get the time to make them. Yeah. Oh, it's pronounced Sabra, sorry. I just saw that now. And then J Slip G asked any new / upcoming creative projects on the docket. New / upcoming creative, right, specifically creative. So, well, my most recent creative project, like I say, was designing these divination journals. That was really fun. Kind of an design. I do a lot of designing, right? I do a lot of systems design and stuff for work, but I'd not done anything in Notion, so that was fun. Otherwise, I guess the big thing is still the deck and the guidebook that's going along with the constellation deck. There has been a little bit of a shift in that project though, in how I've been thinking about it, because I think when I first started working on it, I was thinking of it as like the deck as being the main kind of part or the main product or the main introduction to the system, and then the guidebook as being like a secondary kind of like companion to the deck. And I've kind of since realized that it's a little bit the other way around, because I think the deck doesn't really make much sense unless you understand the system. So it's more like I'm focusing on working on the guidebook, like writing the book is my main kind of project, and then the deck is a companion to that, which I think makes sense from a workflow point of view, because I am doing a lot more work on the book than I am on the deck, because obviously I'm collaborating on the deck with Jenny Lloyd, who's the artist and designer. So I'm writing the briefs and doing all the kind of like system design, but obviously she's creating the visual design. So a lot of that is just me like getting something back, or getting a design and be like, oh right, okay, time to work on the next section, so that Jenny's got a brief to work on. But for the most part, I'm kind of leaving it with her, and she's moving things forward kind of more than I am. So yeah, that's kind of happening. Writing on the guidebook has been really interesting, because that's really my first big non-fiction writing project ever since my like little writing ebook that I put out in like 2017 or something like that. God, was it even 2016 or something? I don't know. Like really not long after I started YouTube, I put out a little ebook on writing craft stuff called How to Build a Novel. And I've not really done any major non-fiction writing since then. So that's been a lot of fun, actually. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, and a lot of it is like material that I teach in Constellation Clarity, but kind of putting it into a book format, and we'll be beefing it up with other things and stuff. Cool. Oh, Jenny's here as well. Hello. God, there's so much chat to catch up on. Okay. So yes, okay, there's a couple people asking about Constellation Clarity again. Right, since I've just been talking about that, I think I'll answer that. So people are asking, are you going to open Constellation Clarity soon? And do I think I'll offer it again this year? Yes, the plan is to do that, yes. I think I've said this before, but like we had to postpone and bump forward the Story Magic Academy relaunch like several times because of several different issues that came up. There was like tax, VAT stuff, and like it just, like we kept saying it's going to be back soon, guys, and then it just wasn't. So we really wanted to get that done first before we went back to Constellation Clarity, because there's been people that have been waiting to join the academy for like a long time who haven't been able to do that. And I was really excited to make the new edition of it. So we've made it into a self-study edition. So there's now no live sessions with me, although you have access to the full archive. But you just get all the lessons and you can self-pace your way through it. And we've reduced the price accordingly. And now that can kind of just run and people can take it without so much input from me, which gives me way more time and energy to devote to Constellation Clarity or working on the deck and these other projects, which is super exciting. So yes, we do have plans to open Constellation Clarity again. At the moment, we haven't nailed down exactly. For a while, I quite optimistically thought maybe we would do the end of August. But given some other news, I don't know that that's going to be feasible anymore. So it's looking like it might be early autumn. The one thing I will say about that is I'm sure some of you who are asking are already on my email list, my newsletter, but if you're not, that's the place to be, because as soon as we have dates nailed down, that is where I'll announce it. I'll send out a save the date, because I know that obviously arranging to do like a live class like that, you need as much notice as possible so that you can carve out that time. So I'm very excited about that, but like I say, we don't have exact dates yet. The reason that I don't have exact dates yet is I'm moving. I am moving house this month. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna have a mild anxiety attack just on stream right now. No, it's fine. No, I'm excited. I am. Me and Pete are moving in together. It's been a long time coming. There's been many points where we haven't known if we're gonna be able to like apply for this tenancy for this place, and like if we were going to be able to do it. There's been so much up in the air that's been relying on like other people and flatmates and stuff like that, so like it's just been crazy. And now I've got like 2.5 weeks to pack up this entire house and move. So I was like, maybe let's not do August for constellation clarity. But yeah. Oh, thank you guys. Oh, this is very sweet. Yeah. I'm scared. You know what? Listen, it's gonna be a lot better than my last move, that's for sure, because I'm not doing it in the wake of a horrific breakup. I also have like organized and decluttered a lot of my stuff. Like a lot of areas, like not that long ago, so like a lot of my stuff is already sorted into categories, it's already sorted into boxes and stuff. I'm hoping that that's going to make it a lot easier to pack, but still there's a lot happening this month. There's a lot. I also am going away next week to stay with my family in an Airbnb for like most of the week, so I won't be able to do any house stuff or packing. Yes, but it will be worth it on the end. Thank you so much. Oh, you guys. Yes, it's very exciting. I'm excited to not be in Yoker anymore and to be in walking distance of cafes and nice coffee and actual food shops. It's going to be good, but yeah. So that kind of tied up nicely to tell you all about upcoming plans, all in that one big kind of splurge. But yeah, that's the main stuff that's going on. Yes. Also, it's so nice to see. Yeah, Jenny is saying, personally super excited about the reframe around the guidebook / deck. Always excited to see what's next. And it's true. I'm very happily working away on the deck briefs. Yes, I'm excited to like. So Jenny just sent me. Not last week. Recently, Jenny sent me the first design for our first almanac section of the cards, and it's glorious. I'm very excited about it. And I still need to give I gave feedback on that, but we still have more chat to have. That's what it is, which I need to reply to some messages and stuff. So I'm excited to do that. But yes. Oh, Megan says, very off topic, but what are those necklaces you're wearing? These are just cheap. I think it was from H&M. They're just coins. I think this is a, oh God, trying to read this. Those are, no, Elizabeth. That's a fake like English penny. And then this one I think is like a little Roman guy. Yeah, it's like a little Roman coin. Yes, thank you for noticing. Okay, questions. I am going to double check if I've missed any, but please send me your questions. What do you want to know? What do you want to talk about? Creativity, witchcraft, life updates, moving, new products, so much exciting stuff. Yes. Okay, right, let me come back and see if I've missed any. Oh, Tony's given us an update on the cherry limeade. It's pink flavour. That sounds alright, actually. I think I was telling Jenny and others this in one of our co-working sessions, but I've gotten really into like doctoring Huel recently. I've got the perfect recipe now. Because I'm a goblin and I'm so excited to have a proper kitchen to cook in. Oh my god. Like, yeah, because my kitchen is a cupboard at the moment, and it means that like if you haven't done the dishes like basically half an hour ago, then there's no space to cook. You've got like one tiny block of surface space, that's it. So cannot wait to have like a proper kitchen, and for us to be able to cook for each other. It's going to be great. And so I won't have to rely on Huel as much. Yeah. Oh, cool. Chishira asked, you've mentioned that you use the constellation system in an expanded way in your spiritual life. How's that been for you? I'm especially curious about how inventing your own system has gone. It's been great. To be honest, it's kind of like, it works. It's kind of like just floated down and kind of settled over my existing routines and kind of strengthened things. And I almost don't really think about it very much anymore, because it's one of those things in my life that just works. And I know that like categorizing things is not for everyone. I know that some people don't like things to be that rigid, especially in something like spirituality. For me, I love that it makes things so simple because it corrals things. So like before, if I was going to do like a spell or working or a ritual for like, God, whatever it was, I would have to come up with like specific correspondences and think about my specific associations for that specific thing. Now I can think about what domain it falls under, and I can just use the domain correspondences, which is really nice. So like if I was to do a spell around like health stuff or fitness stuff or like body image, any of that, even though those are all like really different things, I would still just use my corporalis. Like I've got an incense that I associate with corporalis. I would use like rose quartz. Like I have these things that I associate with that, and it means that like crafting intentions or like choosing correspondences for things is just like super quick and easy. So like it's like a real shortcut in that way, which I really like. That's kind of the main way that it impacts things, I guess. And I think I've spoken a little before about like how in my altar tour kind of little witchy vlog, I spoke about like how I see the domains fitting in with like the different kind of like archetypes and beings and deities and stuff that I work with. So yeah, it just kind of works, really. It's a little bit of a boring answer, but yeah, I don't have any. It just slotted really well into my existing stuff. Okay, new beverage unlocked. Cam Taylor asks, would you ever write a novel again? I miss those streams. Sometimes I do get a hankering. Sometimes I do. If I'm reading a really fun fantasy book right now called Notorious Sorcerer. It's over there by Davinia Evans. Really enjoying it. And when I read stuff like that I enjoy, I'm like, oh man, maybe I do want to write fiction again. And then I'm like, but I love what I'm doing right now. So like, not right now, but I'm not going to say never. I think for the moment, I would still be, if I'm going to venture into fiction storytelling, I think where I am right now, I'd maybe be more likely to do that in a tabletop role-playing game kind of scenario, rather than writing fiction. But that's just the way I'm leaning right now. Never say never. But I think I've kind of like come to like peace with the fact that I go through cycles with my creativity. Sometimes I'm more art, fiction storytelling, or memoir storytelling or filmmaking or whatever it is, like that expressive kind of art. Sometimes I'm more in that sphere and excited by that. And sometimes I'm more design, right? Teaching, designing systems, like designing tools, or like crafting things, or like, you know, making things to sell, or making things just because I want to have them in my life. And I think I used to worry about the tension between those two sides. I used to be like, well, am I a real writer if I like teaching, or am I a real teacher if I really just want to go and do my own art? Like, there used to be some tension there, but now I feel like it's just like, I go through seasons. Sometimes I'm more art, sometimes I'm more design, and that's okay. And I'm in a design phase right now for sure. I think the constellation system is like probably my biggest design project ever. Like even compared to the Story Magic Academy, I would say it's bigger than that. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Jay Slipcheese says, I don't use Notion, but I might have to see what these journals are. Please go have a look, even if you just want to have a nosy, because I'm very proud of all the like graphics and stuff that I put together for it. And I'm really excited to hear what people think. So if you are one of those people that has already picked up the tarot journal or the Lenormand journal, please let us know, like, or let me know, like, how are you finding it? Are you liking it? Are you finding it useful? Do you like the way that I set it up? Because I worked really hard on it and I'm really excited about it, and yeah, I just want to hear how people get on with it. Cool. Oh, Quill, do I have a good answer for that question? Let me think. Yeah, so Quill asks, summer sucks the energy out of me. I'm just not my usual productive self. If you experience similar things, how do you, spiritual wise or otherwise, bounce back? Thank you and well wishes. Again, I feel like this is one of those things that, like, I have new systems in place now that I never used to have, and some of those are the stuff I teach in Constellation Clarity. In Constellation Clarity, we have like a specific concept or kind of piece or chunk of the system called restoratives. And now, well, there's two parts to this. First is noticing that I am just that I'm low energy, right? That I'm not my usual self, that like something has happened or something's fallen through, or like I'm just not quite where I want to be. And it's really easy for me to not notice that in the day-to-day, especially if it happens slowly. Like, it's really easy for me to just be frustrated with myself and not notice that happening. So the main thing for that is my tracking that I do in my bullet journal. If you have seen, I think it was my last monthly setup. Yeah, there's a bullet journal video where I talk about my life domains tracker, my constellation tracker. And that's basically like a little chart where I mark kind of how the month is going, or how each day is going, and what are the kind of domains that I was working in. I actually put like a little lightning bolt when I have like a crisis in a particular area of life. And then if I have a bunch of lightning bolts in a row, I can see like, oh, that was a very turbulent time for me. And that helps me, like when I look back, that helps me remember that there's been shit going on, and it's not just that I'm a terrible person who's not good at handling life. So like tracking so that I can have concrete ways of reminding myself or of seeing like how I've slid into that state is a main thing. And then the other part of it is just starting to action that data. Like once I have that knowledge, or I notice that that's where I've got to, starting to think about, okay, well, what do I need that is restorative? Like what parts of me need to be restored, and like what tools do I have that I know that can help me do that? Yeah, I think that's my answer to that. Oh, thank you so much. I don't know whose name this is, but their username is To The Next Chapter, who said, just gonna plug Constellation Clarity. It was really, really worth the time and money. I feel way more organized and there's so much less clutter in my brain. Thank you, you seriously changed my life. That makes me so happy. thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. I honestly that's why I do this shit. You know? That's why. So I'm so glad. Um cool. Okay, necklaces, deck stuff. Okay, calm down. Oh, there's so much chat. Okay. Oh yeah, I already answered that about novels. Oh, Audrey asked, can we still get specific feedback from you? That's a really common abbreviation, WRT. Oh, with regard to, right? I was like, what does that mean again? Yeah, with regard to SMA Discord in lieu of the live sessions. So I would say that the way that we've set it up, we have tried to make it very clear that that is not part of what you're paying for with the self-study version of the academy. Did I miss a word there? Sorry. Brain glitch. Yeah, I really wanted this version to be a much lighter lift for me so that I can continue on other projects. So that is not something that is guaranteed with SMA. That said, with Constellation Clarity as well, like when people have questions in the Discord, especially if they're questions that have actually never been asked before, that's kind of the main thing. Then I do still try to answer them, or I would ideally like to answer them, but it's according to like if I have the time or not. You can always get feedback and discuss with like your peers, your fellow students, and we also have like 45 hours of me answering questions. The Story Magic Academy material. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. So that's part of the reason that we retired the live Q&As, is that I just answered the same questions over and over again, and it was getting quite rare that people actually had new questions. So the plan is to, if people do have questions, to be able to direct you to like where to find that answer in the archives. But yeah, so that's what I'll say. Like, I have aspirations I'd love to be able to answer every question, but that's not something I've committed to providing for this version of the course, basically. And hopefully that's clear in like all the marketing and all of that as well. Yes. I know, a real kitchen, right? Bliss. Very excited. Cool. Oh man. Chishira asked, I remember from a while ago you mentioned being the Adventure Zone fan. Do you have a favorite character? I don't know if I can pick. Like, I still think the original gang in Balance are great. I don't know if I could pick between Rachael and Magnus. I think in that first season as well, or that first arc, that was kind of how I got to know the McElroy brothers, and now I've listened to and consumed a ton of their content in lots of different areas, and so I feel like I know like their different personality dynamics really well. But at the time I remember thinking like, oh, Taco is really funny, but I really like that Magnus, aka Travis, like really like leans into like the genuine emotional moments, whereas I feel like especially in that first arc and Balance, like Taco's hilarious and Justin is great, but like everything's kind of jokes. Like he doesn't really let things ever get like a bit more heavy and emotional, which is something that I really enjoy in D&D, even though it's very hard to do that. I think that's my answer. But there's so many great characters. There's so many. That actually was one of the first presents that Pete ever got me, I think, for either my birthday or Christmas. He got me, he's never even listened to the Adventure Zone, so he doesn't know any of this, but he learned enough, he gleaned enough from my stuff, and he got me, it's like a, you know, an iron-on patch that's an umbrella, and it says abraca fuck you, which is like one of Taco's phrases. I need to iron that onto my Levi jacket. Oh, I love that. Megan's talking about, yeah, as you yourself suggested, I write fiction, but I only reveal what after the fact, even though I make content as I go. Everything gets a gemstone code name. It drives people nuts, which is a fun bonus. A gemstone code name is such a great idea. I love that. I love the idea of having like a theme. That probably makes it a lot easier to name them as well. That's so cool. I do have correspondences for the domains. They're sometimes a little more sporadic. I've got a little aromatherapy oil for each domain, and I've got a Morningstar incense for each domain. Literally just going by the box colors because I love all Morningstar incenses. So it's not so much. Some of them kind of align, like correspondence wise. So like Device is pine because that's green, and Corporalis could be rose or sandalwood because those are red and pink. Some of them are just completely arbitrary, but that's fine. Yeah, I love that. Like, I love being able to, like, if I need to do some housework that I don't want to do, I love being able to put on like my Domum incense to try and hype me up for it. Siri says, it's so funny, I'd thought about putting out a digital grimoire template for ages and then you dropped the journals. Notion is so good. You know what's wild? Me and Christy have been using Notion for all of our work stuff, like all the business work stuff, for literal years and years. And I'm constantly tweaking all my systems and the designs and like blah blah blah. Like I've been playing with it and designing with it for years. And like the other week, I reorganized like my main dashboard for the business, and I was like, oh my god, I think it's done. I think I've cracked it. Like, I didn't think that was possible. I thought it was always going to be in iteration and it was always going to change and I was always going to want to mess around with it. But like, you guys, I think I've cracked it. It's very exciting. It's very exciting. Cool. Oh, Oberon's giving some chat about the Tarot Journal. That's great. Thank you. Oh, interesting. So Oberon says, I have a bit of a problem with using it for non-spread pools. I like to ask a question, then pull clarifying cards. Or ask a question, then pull as I go for more questions. So those are a bit wonky to input in the journal, but I love it overall. It'll make me use more structured spreads. I wonder if we could create a template specifically for that kind of like improvised spread kind of stuff. Because I think, yeah, like I do a lot of like single card draws. So I just do that as like a daily draw or just like a generic reading of a single card draw. But yeah, sometimes you do want to add more. So maybe there is a way, you could maybe add like a button or something to add more and maybe do them in a column instead. See, now I'm just designing. Man, I love Notion. God damn. Yes, yeah, well I hope you find a way of tweaking it that works a little bit better for that specific use, but I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Oh, it's Lauren that was talking about constellation clarity. Thank you so much. Oh, Oberon says, honestly, the journal has a lot of work put into the back end and I'm super impressed with it. Thank you. We tried really hard. Like, we wanted to like do, so like for reference, like the journal has like basically a database for readings, which is connected to several other databases so that you can relate things. So for each reading entry, which is its own page, you can add like what are the cards you pulled, what spread did you use. It'll automatically pull keywords and stuff associated with those cards. To set up that system, we had to create pages for every single tarot card, every single Lenormand card, format them correctly and all of that stuff. So like, yeah, I just really, I love it. I need to actually, you know what's funny is that I started designing it for myself and then I started using it and I was like, holy shit, I love this. And so then we made a copy of it so that I could start designing the version that we would make public for you guys. And then I finished, like I did so much more work on the public version, or the version that we were going to sell, and then I've not gone back and actually updated mine. Like, so mine is still kind of unfinished. I need to go back and actually use my own template, and like move stuff over and stuff, because like mine is not as beautiful as the final result was. I need to go and do that. Oh, Haley also says, I love the tarot journal you created. Use it every day. That is great. I love that. Notion is life-changing. We were talking about, I think me and my Stillfleet gang that play in like our home game, essentially our digital home game, were talking about, like, someone was like, we should have like a, you know, like a cork board with like red threads and stuff, because like all the political stuff going on in that game was fucking crazy, and we needed to decide like what faction are we like allied with versus against, and who do we want to side with in this war and all of that. And someone suggested like Miro, but we can get it to work, and I was like, I could make a Notion. And then a couple of people were like, hey, this Notion thing seems cool, and I was like, I'm so sorry, I've just ruined / changed / improved your life, because oh man, for people that like organization or design, Notion is such a blessing, such a curse. Yeah. Okay, so Jashira said that's amazing, and Siri said, whoa, that's wild, and I don't know what these are in reference to now. I'm like, did I say something crazy? I don't I don't remember what that was in reference to. Yes. Okay, Lauren's asking, I'd love to hear more about working for yourself and how to build a business. If you're about to share more than that, I assume that means open. If you have a more specific question, I'm happy to talk about it. That's a huge topic, so I wouldn't even know where to begin. But yes. Yeah. Siri says, I'm such an analog girly, but Notion is so good. Yeah, I see Notion as like a supplement to my bullet journal. My bullet journal is still my one true thing. But for things that are like, that I want to store more permanently, that I don't want to have to migrate from journal to journal to journal, I tend to use Notion for that. And it's really nice. They work together really well, actually, in the system that I've got going now. Yeah, and also, oh, it was in reference to finishing your Notion dash. Thank you. Yeah, it is wild. Yeah, one thing I will say, so people ask me about Notion quite a lot, and I've said this before, I'm not the best person to teach it, because like I have learned it over the years as they've added new features and stuff, and I honestly find it really intuitive. I'm sure there's some super technical like formula stuff that I don't understand and don't use, but like I'm very comfortable with the different databases and stuff. One thing I will say is that I feel like the Tarot journal and the Lenormand journal, if you watch the like tutorials that are included with those, the way that it's set up, it kind of teaches you, at least I would hope, it kind of teaches you a lot of the important features in Notion. Like I feel like relations is like the most powerful thing of any of the features that it has. And so if you get a grip on how to use the relations in the Tarot journal, you're really well set up to then use relations in other areas of your Notion as well. Oh, cool. Audrey says, I've been using the Tarot journal about since you released it, and it's been great. I have my own plans for inserting specific deck properties to readings pages, because I use different decks for different purposes, so I can log that information also. Oh, and then the other messages below that. Cool. Oh yeah, and Oberon said, I've totally added my own page or database to populate what deck I'm using, because I use many different decks as they have different feels for me. Yeah, that's a good idea actually. I should have added a property for decks. Although what I do like about having all of the cards in a database is that I actually have, like, so my like I use my Lenormand much more than my tarot one. I'll have like extra cards in there that only exist in some decks. So like the Magpie's Lenormand, for instance, like instead of having the man and the woman, which tend to be kind of controversial or slightly spicy cards for a lot of people, I always pull them out of my decks and not use them anyway. Instead of the man and the woman, it's got the caterpillar, the chrysalid, and the moth. And so I can add pages for those cards, add it to my general kind of digital Lenormand deck. And then of course, when I'm doing readings with other decks, like it doesn't make a difference because I'm just never going to select those cards. So you almost create like a master deck of like different variations and stuff. Yeah. Write that idea down, write it down. Oh, don't, yeah. Cool. Okay, where are we at? We're at 45. I think we're doing okay. Please let me know if you have more questions. I think we've got one from Lauren. Cool. Yeah, so Lauren asked, on working for yourself, did you start with a YouTube channel, and when did you feel secure enough to leave any full-time job you may have had? So you might have already seen this, but I will just say as a preface to this that I tell the entire story of how I got into writing and how I started my business and everything in that creative identity crisis video where I kind of chart my whole creative path. So if you want like the full timeline, it's in there, but I can give you like the cliff notes. Basically, I studied philosophy as a student. For like the latter half of my degree, I was working part-time as well. In Scotland, you get like a student loan, and some people also get a bursary. I did because my mum's income made me qualify for it. So I didn't need to work full time while I was studying, which was good. And then when I graduated, I wanted to write, so I just went straight into hospitality jobs because I knew that I could get one, and I didn't really know what else I wanted to do. Or I didn't really want a conventional job. It was very naive at the time. Like I would never recommend someone do that now, necessarily. Like, cause I do think you need a more secure day job, or a day job that you can survive and that pays you well enough. But I was young and naive, and so I was like, oh, I only need a job for a little bit because soon I'll be a famous author. So I worked full time as a barista for several years while I was writing, and then as I started making videos. And it was only when my videos started to pick up and started to gain some traction, especially in like Preptober and writing craft stuff, that I was like, okay, well, I'll make my first series of writing craft videos into like a little ebook because people were asking for handouts and stuff, and I was like, well, I'll just combine them all, make it into an ebook, and that was pay what you want. And I made a little bit of money from that, and then Plot Embryo, and people started asking for my advice and stuff on that, so I was like, okay, well, I'll offer like one-to-one sessions where I help people with their plot embryos. And then there was like a long period where I was doing both at the same time. I was part-time as a barista. I went down to part-time as a barista to have more time to work on videos and business and writing and all of that. That ended up backfiring because I stopped getting hours altogether and I kind of went into debt, which was a bummer. And yeah, and then eventually, so my transition was because I applied for and got funding to write from Creative Scotland for a period of a few months. That was my kind of kickoff point. And once I had that freedom, even though it was a kind of rough experience in many ways, I couldn't face going back to hospitality. And so I was like, I'm going to do whatever I've got to do to not do that. So I launched my Patreon. I did a big sale on like bundles of sessions so that I could make a bunch of money quite quickly. Following up with all those sessions was an absolute hellscape, but that's a story for another time. And from there, I finally like faced into the fact that like really the thing I needed to be making was like a big course on the plot embryo, because that's what everyone was kind of, that was the biggest kind of value that I had to share. And so that's when I kind of transitioned. So yeah, that's the kind of short version. But I guess like, really, I would not necessarily recommend what I did because it was very financially irresponsible. I kind of, the way I think of it, like, I basically jumped off the trapeze thinking that I was just jumping into abyss and being like, well, I hope I can build a net on the way down. You know, I didn't have any savings. Like, I was like, this is going to work because I'm going to make it work. And also I think because I didn't have a good stable job kind of keeping me there, you know, pay as a barista is minimum wage and the conditions are shit. So like, and I also did know on some level that I could go back to that if I needed to. So it wasn't like a big wrench to leave those jobs behind because there were 0-hour contracts and stuff. And I was like, well, I can always just come back and pick up shifts. So yeah, sorry. Rachel saying I'm getting stressed hearing you talk about this stuff. Much better position now. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing what I did. I mean, I don't know, it worked out for me, kind of. But like, as with everything, like, as I always say, I say this to everyone when I talk about work and job stuff, like, I think my work situation, right, of like working kind of partially on YouTube, working for myself, writing, being self-employed, all of that is very glamorized. It has its benefits for sure, but it's also got huge drawbacks, like just the same way that regular employment does. It's just about like which pros and which cons do you want, right? There's not like one right answer. In some ways I wish, well, part of the reason that I didn't try, well, for a while I did try to get like a traditional job. I did like a marketing internship. I was trying to get into like, you know, like some kind of like creative professional field, like marketing or design or something like that. And I just couldn't crack through. Like, I couldn't break through. And eventually I was like, fuck this. I'm going to work for myself. That's what I want to do in the long run anyway. So I guess I might as well just try. Now I'm just rambling, but yes. Yeah, that year after graduating, man, it's a rough time, or it was for me at least. Yeah. Oh, Ryan's here. Saying, yeah, party animals, that's our Stillfleet party. Needs a notion. It's so good. I have a whole game set up in Notion for tabletop RPGs. I actually use Notion for my character sheet for Rel in that Kadida stream that we did, and I loved having my character sheet on Notion. I think I'm going to do that from now on. Yeah. Oh, Megan, I think, asked something about Preptober. Did I miss that? Let me see. Oh. Are the Preptober worksheets lost forever? I missed them when they were around. I have a new seasonal project workflow and I think they'd be useful for that. Oh man, Preptober stuff. Where is that stuff? I know there's a little bit left on my site, but that might just be the videos. Which worksheets are you talking about? If you can remind me, then I might be able to dig them up for you. Because there was like the character sheet printable that I sold for a while that I discontinued. There's a plot and bill printable. There was, what else was there? There was like a calendar, an organizational like calendar mapping out like what parts to work on at different parts of the month. But other than that, I actually can't remember what I made. I never got to see them at all. I don't know what I'm missing. Okay. I will have a look for you. I will. I don't know if I'm going to find anything because that was a long time ago, but I'll have a look for you. Yeah. Jana says, I came in a bit late because of an appointment. How are you doing? I'm good. I'm really warm right now, actually. But yeah, I'm good. I think we've been having a good chat so far. We've covered quite a lot, actually. Oh, I should have said in the beginning, I'm happy to stay on for a bit longer than an hour, guys, if you are, if there's more to talk about, because it feels like there is just so much to catch up on. So we don't necessarily need to finish really soon. Oh, the checklist. Yes, there was a Preptober checklist. Oh man, where the hell would that be? I can have a look. I don't know. They might still be in Canva, even if they're not on, because I created them in Canva, so they might still be on there, even if they're not on my computer anymore. Yes. Oh, thanks, Siri. Okay. See you later. Okay. Right. Yeah, please send me more questions, if you have any. Any topic is game. Yeah, what else do I have? So yeah, so my topics of, I guess, like, here's what's been going on, in case you want to ask anything specific about that. Moving in with Pete, that's exciting. Designing in Notion has been fun for the journals. New gym routine and stuff. Finally got back to Muay Thai after my hospital stint a couple of months ago. That was exciting. Covered in bruises, as always. I don't know if you'll be able to see this one. Oh, you can see it really well. It's a really nasty yellow. I don't even know how... That was one of those ones that I didn't feel anything in the moment, but then I just found it later and I was like, oh, that must have happened at some point. Changes to how I approach YouTube. How it's been writing non-fiction for the first time in a long time with the guidebook and the deck. Kadida, the recent TTRPG stream that I did with Stillfleet Gang. Oh, some good questions here, thank you. Okay. Yeah, so Alyssa asked, I was wondering if your spiritual belief system is still the same as when you made your Q&A Witch video, or have your beliefs evolved since then? So I think you're talking about those Q&A videos that I made in 2020. Wow, that was 3 years ago. Yeah, I would say largely it's still the same. I think I'm a bit more articulate about them now, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think my views have changed that much. I guess the Cliff Notes version is that I now consider myself, when I'm talking about like my spiritual framework or my belief system, I think of myself as a fictionalist witch, which means that I don't believe that any of it's necessarily literally true, but I believe it's useful, and therefore I behave as if it's true, because I find that to be beneficial and fun. The fictionalist or fictionalism word comes from when I studied philosophy of maths in university, which is still to this day something I can't believe I actually did. Can you believe I got a B in philosophy of maths? And I think the only reason for that is that there's no actual maths involved. It's just talking about maths and if it's real or not. There's some formal logic, to be fair. But one of the theories that I came across in philosophy of maths is the question of like, is math real? Is it a real feature of the universe? Or is it just a system that we've made up for us to help us make sense of it? which is kind of a wild distinction, but that's what fictionalists believe, that they're like, maths is a helpful fiction that we've created, not necessarily like an inherent property of the universe. And that's kind of how I feel about witchcraft. Like, it's a helpful fiction. Yeah, hope that makes sense. Do I recommend any creators who make Notion tutorial videos? Oh man. Oh, off the top of my head, that's really hard. Because I've watched some of them, I've watched some of the big ones, and I kind of hate watching Notion tutorials, to be honest. I think because a lot of the time they're covering a lot of stuff that I already know and I get a bit bored. I don't think I've got any off the top of my head, I'm really sorry. If I think of any, I'll post it in, I think you're in the Discord, right? Yeah, Megan. Do you think you'll sell more Notion templates in the future if you feel called to create something for others? Absolutely, I'd love to. I have so many ideas, you guys, too many. I've got a whole database of ideas that I just want to get to someday. Yeah, I'd love to. It's just a case of like what order in which to do things in. What's your Huel recipes? Okay, so so I have 2 flavors of Huel right now. I've got cinnamon swirl, which is the best one, and then strawberries and cream. And for the cinnamon swirl, here's my recipe. Like maybe like 1/3 of oat milk to 2/3 water. Put in your scoop of Huel. I think a full portion is like 2 scoops, but that doesn't fit in my shaker and it's too much for me, so I just do a half portion. Scoop of Huel, little bit of honey, few grains of salt, and then a lot of cinnamon, extra cinnamon, 2 ice cubes. The ice cubes are important, I've learned, because they make it not lumpy. If you do it without ice cubes, for some reason, it just doesn't get even remotely smooth. So that's my cinnamon recipe. It just make it extra cinnamony, and like a hint of salt is really good because it's obviously like artificially sweetened. And then my strawberry recipe is basically the exact same, but instead of adding cinnamon, I like to add cocoa powder. So it's like a chocolate and strawberry kind of situation. But again, the salt I think is the most important thing because it kind of balances out. So yeah, those are my Huel recipes. Oh, you guys have such good questions. Do you have offering bowls for the domains, considering using that as a way to get in the zone and track how much I'm focusing on each one? I do not. I have one offering goblet, and I use that kind of for everything. But I don't make a ton of offerings right now. So generally tracking how much I'm focusing on each one, that's what happens in my bullet journal, I would say. But if that seems like a fun idea, then go for it. Actually, I do have one kind of offering tip, which is that for a while I was trying, I was really struggling with my like morning kind of corporalis routine, like, you know, like the boring basics, like get up, get food, get clean, get dressed, blah, blah, blah. I was really struggling with that for a while. I've since moved some of it into my night routine, which is helping. But one thing I was doing for a while was like dedicating that kind of like morning body care ritual to my deity of corporalis at the time. And what I would do was like light incense, like dedicate the routine to that deity, and then for each one that I did, I would put a rose petal into my offering cup. And the idea was that obviously almost like a gold star thing where like I could build up, like, you know, and see how much I'd done over time. I didn't get very far with that, but I thought it was a cool idea. Okay, Tony's asking me about my gym stuff. Right, your 5x5 program, what are your current personal records for lifts? I'm not going to be able to remember these because I'm still early. I've only been going for like a month, and I'm still early enough that I'm hitting at least one personal record like per session, I think. Yeah, at least one. Last session was not great because I didn't eat enough. So, what are we on? I think, oh my God. I think, oh fuck. And I can't remember. It's also on my phone, unfortunately, so I can't look at it because the stream is on my phone. I think I'm, oh my God, my brain is going blank now. I think I'm at like between like 25 and 30 kilograms for squats. Which like, and I also, one of the things I really like about squats now is that I feel really comfortable. Like I remember like literally the first time I had like a barbell like on my shoulders and I was like terrified. Like I was like, I feel so unsteady, and like just the empty bar is like 20 kilograms or whatever. So like it felt like a big deal, and now it's like a month later and I'm like, yeah, I can do this. So that's really fun. I have recently worked up to a full empty bar for bench press. So my next session is going to be my first time putting plates on the bar for bench press. That's exciting. Rows didn't go so well last time because, like I say, I think I was too hungry. But yeah. And last time I had asked Pete to spot me on bench because I was worried because like my wrists, you guys, are honestly just toothpicks. Like my arms are like like not weak. Like I've done like a lot of like, you know, like body weight strength stuff like in Muay Thai and that, but like my wrists are so tiny that like that's one of the things I was worried about, especially with bench. But yeah, it's fun. I understand now. I understand why strength training is fun now, because I think when I first started I was like, oh, there's so many breaks and it's so boring and it's not even that hard. But obviously now with adding more weight each time, I'm like, oh no, it's actually getting hard now, and it's actually challenging, so that's fun. Yeah, Tony says, you're soon at the point of needing to do grip training to support the bar and stuff. Yeah, I think I'm also just still learning like technique. Like once I was like, oh yeah, I'm meant to be activating my core, I was like, oh, this is way easier. So like I'm learning. And I also haven't been going 3 times a week. I've been going twice a week. But still, it's good fun. We're gonna go tomorrow. I'm excited. I can't, yeah, Rachel says, I also just started lifting as well. It feels so good to just keep going. Yeah, I will, my wrists will strengthen up. It'll be fine. It's just, yeah, I need to figure out how it's going to fit in with Muay Thai, because I still want that to be like my main thing. But like this like strong lifts program that we're doing is like meant to be like a full program. You're not meant to like really combine that with other stuff. So like, I don't know. But it's been a lot of fun. Okay. Yes, totally, yeah. Protein. Yeah, like literally I have a daily protein tracker in my bullet journal now. I'm like, who am I even? Who am I? That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's been so good. Like I already was doing like a good amount of exercise, but it's just very different. And I think this is the thing that I keep coming back to when I talk about it, is like it's so, I've been used to like the pace of like doing Muay Thai, which is focused on learning technique and also like endurance cardio, basically like HIIT, like high intensity, but like there's no progressive overload to that. So it's just like doing tons of push-ups and burpees and all this other shit. But like I feel like I haven't really gotten much better at those things because there's no overload. And also just because I didn't really know. Like Pete is teaching me a lot about this. So it's been really interesting to do a kind of exercise that's completely different, and being like even noticing like how I feel different after, like the like stiffness and DOMs that I get after Muay Thai is like really like completely whole body and really like sharp and really acute. Whereas like after weight training, it's like, it's kind of like mild, but like deep down to your bones, and it comes with this like fatigue of like, like the next day, which is just, yeah, it's funny. Yes. Yeah, burpees are not the best. But this is the thing, is that like I mean, me and Pete going to the gym together is hilarious because like he like has done weightlifting before, and so like we're using like racks next to each other, and I'm just like, I'm just not gonna look because he's like twice my size, and I just don't want to think about the numbers because it makes me feel bad. But at the same time, like my cardio is like off the charts compared to him. Like I can go for a long time, because that's what I've trained in Muay Thai. So yeah, it's been fun. And there's even a bag at my gym, which is really exciting. So like once we've done weightlifting, if he's still doing stuff, or his often take longer because he's taking longer rests because he's lifting heavier or whatever, or if he's got physio, then I get to go and fuck about on the punching bag for a while, which is really fun, and just like completely bruise my shins. So yeah, it's been very enjoyable. But yeah, it's been really good for my mood. Like, so like we had just the nicest evening the other night. Like went to the gym, had to drive back to get Pete's headphones, which he'd forgotten, went to the gym. It was fucking crazy busy, but somehow we still got like the exact racks that we needed next to each other, which was wild. Had like a good time, did the workout stuff, absolutely killed myself on the punching bag at the end, and then grabbed stuff from the shop, came back, Pete made this like amazing fish, like salmon dish for us both, watched some Queer Eye. Like, it was just like the most lovely, chill, boring night ever. But like I had such a good time, and it genuinely is the like, yeah, the endorphins, like, and just the mood lift is so huge for me. I even like feel it like the day after as well, which I've had that from other forms of exercise as well, but I've never got that from like slower paced like strength training stuff. And it's just really nice to do it with Pete. Like it's now a social kind of thing for me partially as well. Yes, it's very good. Oh yeah, okay, so this is my last thing on weight training just because it's funny. So I like we when we started, right, we had to estimate. So basically this app calculates all the weights that you're meant to lift for you, right? And it starts by asking you for your weight so that it can calculate, okay, what should you be starting with for lifting? And then it incrementally goes up from there. And we had no idea what I weighed because I don't own a scale and I haven't weighed myself in years because I just never do. And so we'd estimated about like 65 kilograms. And I was doing, like, I was lifting based on that. And then I think for my first deadlifts, the app didn't give the right number or whatever, and I was like, I don't know what to start with, and Pete was like, start with 40 and see how you get on with that. And I did that, and I was like, that was really hard. I think I need to go a little down and work up to that again. And then the next week we went and weighed me, and I weighed 51 kilograms. So I was lifting 4/5 of my body weight for my first ever deadlifts, which is just, I was like, oh right, that makes sense. Cool. Yes, boring nights with a partner are sometimes the best nights. Yes, so that's been fun. Okay, I think last round for questions maybe, perhaps. I don't know if I've got anything else. Yeah, gym stuff, moving house. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I have, there have been points where I have had to deload a little. I think the thing is like sometimes it's giving me increments of like 0.75 kilograms, and there's not small enough plates for that at our gym, so like I have to like either go way up what I meant to or go way down, and sometimes I'm like, well, I'll try the up, and I'm like, no, I'm going down. So yeah. Oh, cool. There are a couple of questions up here. A helpful fiction. Cool. Yeah, a psych witch, totally. Oh, tips on creating morning and evening routines and sticking to them. There's so much. Okay, well, my standard tips I always say is write them down. Write down your best idea for the routine on a piece of paper, a post-it, an index card, whatever it is. Put it up in the place that makes the most sense where you're going to see it. So I have mine up next to my bed because I wake up in bed and I go to bed in the evening. So that I can refer to them, actually refer to the steps. And yeah, so that's my quick thing, is always just like have it on paper, actually refer to it, don't try to do it from memory. And then obviously like test it and see how it goes, and then modify as necessary. I can share one big shift that I've literally just been making to my routines in the last few days. One second. Which is hilarious because I'm about to move in with Pete and all of my routines are going to completely go out the window because I'm going to have to create all new ones because I'll be living with someone else. But for now, I had all of my kind of like standard body care stuff as a morning routine. So like showering, washing my hair, washing my face, doing my makeup, brushing teeth, like all of that stuff. As well as like planning my day, having breakfast, like all of my classic morning stuff. And then I heard someone ask in a Q&A, just like someone I follow, like, do you prefer morning showers or night showers? And they were talking about night showers, and I was like, why am I not doing night showers? I mean, I do sometimes, like after the gym and stuff, but like it's not my default. And I was like, this makes way more sense, because they were talking about like how for them, like night showers or baths were like a kind of like decompression, like almost like a meditation at the end of the day. And I was like, that sounds like a much more enjoyable version of it than what I do in the morning, which is like rush through it because I want to get into the actual meat of my day, the actual rest of my day, where the interesting stuff is going to happen, not the monotony of the daily routine. So that makes way more sense for me to do in the morning, because I was like, when I wake up in the morning, I kind of almost always wake up in like a deficit of executive function or a deficit of stimulation. I almost always wake up bored, and the period of time in between me and doing the next thing that I think is interesting always feels too long. Like I have to get through all of the boring morning daily routine stuff before I can get to the project I want to work on or getting outside or whatever it is. And I have all this mental energy that I feel like I'm having to like tamp down in the morning to get through the monotonous stuff. And then I was like, well, if I do it at night, then that's perfect, because I am really tired in the evening. And by that point, like later in the evening as well, like that's like probably my lowest quality time of day. I'm tired. I tend to just get sucked into just watching things or like a YouTube hole or like flapping about deciding how long am I going to stay up, and or do I want a snack, or just scrolling or whatever on my, checking things on my phone. Like it's not a very like high quality time of day for me because I haven't really stuck to a night routine in a long time. Like I've been keeping to my morning routine, but I haven't done my night routine. And I was like, oh, if I make the body care, cleanliness, daily hygiene, washing hair stuff part of my night routine, then it can be a kind of meditation. I can think of it more as a sensory thing. And I won't be horrendously bored because I'll be actually mentally tired by the end of the day. So like, that, I know maybe that sounds really obvious to a lot of people, but like I feel like that's only just clicked for me, is that like just thinking about like what time of day does that make more sense, in the morning or at night, like based on what is your energy like. I know that a lot of people wake up and feel like they're like a zombie, right? People talk about like zombie mode, and that's why they like to do like more monotonous stuff like tidying up, or like, you know, getting ready and showering and stuff in the morning, because it gives them a chance to wake up. That's not really how I wake up. Like I say, I wake up bored and understimulated, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? What's gonna feed my brain first? So like, it makes way more sense to do that stuff at night for me. I feel like I'm just repeating myself now, but yeah, that was like a major epiphany for me recently. Yeah. Caitlin says, I've renamed my morning and night routines as dawn and dusk, which makes them feel more witchy and enchanting. Yes, I also rename mine periodically. So like my last ones were AM ritual and PM ritual. I've had sun and moon routines. Like I could have waking and dreaming. Yeah, like having like a bit of celestial symmetry to it does make it a lot more exciting to me than just like morning routine, night routine. Yeah. Megan says, I think we've had updates from every domain. Corporalis, Gym, Socialis and Domum, moving in with Pete, routines, Genero, your creative journey, Davici, upcoming offerings, and Spiritus beliefs. Yeah, we actually have. We've covered every domain, guys. It's kind of incredible. Kind of great. Okay, I'm going to take this moment to just remind you about the new things that I have on the go. So we've spoken a good amount about the divination journals. Like I say, they're up on my website now. Feel free to go have a swatch. And yeah, like if you do buy them, let me know how it goes, and if you like them, how you get on with them. Yeah, like I use them for my own like tarot and Lenormand readings, and I really like them more than any other system I've used. And I think I've mentioned this already, but like we really went the extra mile in aesthetics, because when I was trying it out for the first time, was like, okay, if I can't make this system cute and aesthetic, I know I'm not going to want to use it, right? Because like divination to me should feel magical. And if it looks really mundane and kind of utilitarian in Notion, then it's not going to feel magical, and I'm not going to want to use it. So like I kind of came at it from that point of view of like, I want this to be beautiful. So like we went and got my style on Notion is very minimalist now, but we still went out of our way to find like beautiful icons and really nice photos and stuff to use for the journal. So if that's your jam, might be up your street. And oh, lovely, Eli says, popped off for a second to go buy the tarot journal. Really looking forward to digging into it. I hope you love it. Yeah, sun and moon or dawn and dusk, they're both great. Yeah, so the divination journals are up. The other thing that I want to remind you of is that the Story Magic Academy self-study edition is live now. You can go, you can buy it, you can enroll instantly, you can get into all that story crafting goodness. If you have any questions about SMA or the journals, then please feel free to ask them. And yeah, I think we've covered how the self-study version is different. All of that's on the site and stuff as well. If you're like, hi, I'm new here, what the hell is the Story Magic Academy? What are you talking about? The super quick description is that like one of the hardest and like slowest parts of writing fiction stories, writing stories at all, is making story decisions, right? Like it's not the typing of the words, it's deciding what you're going to type. And so the Story Magic system is really a process, like a system for making those story decisions quicker and easier, so that you can spend less time stuck on those decisions and more time actually like on the ground level in your story, like writing the words. That's the super short version, teaches the plot embryo kind of technique. But if you want to go and see more about that and stuff, both of these things are rachelsteven.com/shop. for future reference. And remember to spell my name right. It's the name of the channel, if you need a reminder. I think those are all my important things. Yeah. Did I have anything else? Let me just check if there was anything else I wanted to say. Yeah, and then I guess, like, unless you guys have any more questions, my last little bit of chat is just that I have decided for the moment to not make videos on a monthly basis. After trying for my entire YouTube career to get into some kind of consistent schedule, I've decided now to leave that schedule behind. And I would really like to get into the kind of thought process behind that in more detail somewhere. But the Cliff Notes is basically like, my business model is not really an influencer business model. I don't make money from videos. I do use them to promote my work elsewhere, but I don't have ads enabled. I don't take sponsorships and stuff. And so I can't necessarily be spending like all the time I was spending every single month making free videos that aren't necessarily connected to like the business side of things. But it's really helped me kind of see like, oh, there's actually like certain parts, there's certain videos that I make that are kind of directed towards the business, and there's actually some videos that I make that really are just creative and that are just for me. And so now I can actually separate those things and make time for both, I guess. But yeah, so while I'm not going to be sticking to the monthly schedule anymore, that doesn't mean I want to stop making videos. I have so many videos I want to make, and I've got some in progress right now, but I just don't know when they're going to be up. So it's going to be back to a kind of just like, just wait and see when Rachel's got a new video kind of situation. That is a question. Megan says, why don't you have ads and things enabled? So for the most part, for most of my YouTube career, it has been because I don't love advertising as a monetization model. And I also I didn't really want people to have to watch ads on my videos. Although I think at the moment now, I think YouTube has enabled it so that everyone gets ads on all their videos, and it's only if you're set up as a partner that you actually get a cut of the money. So like, for all I know, you guys are all seeing ads on my videos anyway. I need to look into that. I actually have thought about maybe enabling ads, not even necessarily from a monetary point of view, but because some people have some evidence that like YouTube tends to deprioritize videos from channels that aren't monetized. So I'd think about it from that point of view. In terms of like sponsorships and stuff, and I guess just ads generally, I just never really saw that business model as like being just not stable enough for me. Like I didn't want to be like on a content treadmill where my content is the product, and therefore I can never take a break, right? Which is a classic burnout kind of dilemma with a lot of YouTubers and content creators, is that when your job is YouTube, you have to make videos all the time, and often you tend to burn out and you don't really ever get a break. And also then you don't really have any control over that, you know, like you're really dependent on the algorithm and on sponsorships from other companies, and if those dry up, then you're kind of fucked. And that just, like, being self-employed is already obviously such a kind of risky and unstable thing that I just knew that I was like, I want to keep it so that I have my own offerings and my own products. And yes, I use my videos to promote them, but the videos are not the product itself, if that makes sense. That's just always how I've kind of wanted to run my business, I guess. It just felt more stable to me. Yeah, which is part, and I feel like the move away from the monthly schedule is kind of like a natural continuation of that, really, which is just an acknowledgement that like, I love making videos and I want to keep making them, and I know that people enjoy them, but at the end of the day, they're not the end product, and they're not my they're not my main revenue source. Yeah. Yeah, totally. It makes you very dependent on the algorithm and on sponsorships and stuff. A sweet Notion ad money. Would I do a sponsorship with Notion? Perhaps, maybe. I think for the most part, also, a big part of not taking sponsorships, well, one is that it's a lot of work to actually vet companies. It's a lot of work behind the scenes to actually just organize sponsorships. And a lot of the bigger YouTubers have like managers and stuff for that. So like having done it once with For the Words, I was like, oh, this is a lot. And I also you have to negotiate for your rates and stuff, which I hate doing. And so like that kind of put me off. But then also when you're working with sponsors, you then have deadlines for videos. And like the way that I was making videos for most of my career on YouTube, I like to just I like videos to take as long as they need to take. I like to be able to put as much time as I feel like it needs. I don't like to have to rush stuff or get stuff off on a deadline. And so taking sponsorships and stuff just felt like way too much pressure. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Rachel says, kidding, I love that you're not completely wrapped in the ads. Yeah, like I say, I might consider enabling AdSense on YouTube, but I don't know if that even makes a difference to anyone. Just because I think, just algorithm reasons. But yeah. Oh, thank you. Ari says, sending you so much love for creating content that inspires me to keep trying to live the coziest, warmest, and most comfy life possible. That's pretty much my goal. That's pretty much it. And on that note, I think I'm gonna go because I need to have some dinner. I've got to hit my protein quotient for the day. Thank you so much everyone for joining me. This has been lovely. It's been lovely to catch up. It does, as much as I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna move away from my video schedule, then when I do move away from it, I'm like, oh, I haven't spoken to my video people in a long time now. So this has been great. Thank you everyone. Yes, what am I gonna, oh my god, what am I gonna have for dinner? Half a thing of tofu and salad or something. This has been lovely. Yeah, really good questions. Thanks everyone. Thank you, Jenny. Yay. Yes. So yes, like I say, if you haven't already, go check out the Academy Self-Study if you're a writer. Go check out the divination journals if you're a tarot type witchy person, if that's of interest and stuff. I'm moving this month, so a little bit extra cash wouldn't go amiss. If you've been thinking of buying these things, now would be a great time, thank you. But yes, otherwise I hope that you have a good rest of your day, and I think I will leave it there. Thanks everyone. Okay. Oh.